We're just can I try that again? Hey guys, thanks for having me on. Great to be here.
How's it going, Rob?
It's going great, man. How are you guys doing?
Great to be on the show with the awesome name.
My agenda, what I think everyone needs to know on other people, it didn't really work that way.
Hi guys, it's your boy Johnny. Oh, it's so nice to be on Canary Cry Radio.
People will sometimes say to us, you guys are taking this stuff way too lightly because you guys are laughing all the time.
That's what started it, and we opened wide to saying, Lord, we'll help any of these, we'll go whatever.
Well, is that the way the Antichrist is going to arrive? I don't know, but I know that the book of Revelation tells us in Revelation 17 that the world is going to marvel at he who was and is not and yet is.
There's a lot of minds that are being made up that say, hey, E.T. is God. The God of the Bible is just ridiculous.
You're listening to the Canary Cry Radio. Here's Basil and Gonz.
Woo! All right, hey everybody, welcome to Canary Cry live stream. My name is Basil.
This is Gonz, and that is Dr. Future.
Doc Future. How you doing, Dr. Future?
Good evening, viewers.
Woo! We're glad we got you on.
That's Fred Scuttle, if you remember the old Benny Hill show.
Okay.
And I'm glad to be on the show with El Santo.
Luchador. We've got a luchador theme going on here.
And the vampire woman. Or that may be Nacho Libre. I'm not sure, but
yeah,
anyway.
I like to go for Nacho Libre. It's more my generation here. But hey, so everybody who's watching, we just got finished interviewing a little bit of Dr. Future for our 100th episode. We're working real hard on it, and he was so gracious and said that he would stick around for this live stream for just a little bit. So we got him.
I was hoodwinked into it, actually.
we tricked him. We tricked him, but it worked. We got him. So, Doc Future, let's just for the sake of the viewers right now, all those special people who are here on the live stream, they now know that you're alive. And let's talk a little bit about your blog, because that's something that they can go check out literally right now as they're watching.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I had a lot of people, again, assume I was dead because I've been deep undercover trying to finish these books that I'm working on. And in the process, every once in a while I get an email from an old friend from Future Quake saying, we'd sure like to know what you think about X or Y or this or that. And I've resisted that because it's just really a distraction to get this monumental undertaking done. And I finally cried uncle because, I care about what's going on in the here and now, what's going on in other issues other than what I'm writing about. And certainly my writing project has really had a big effect on my Christian walk. Right. And so it's modified my views. So a lot of this stuff sort of builds up. And if you remember Robert Hyde, one of our regular guests on there, he and Adam Sane and Conspiranormal and a few other friends usually get the brunt of my senior rants on these topics. And so I figured, hey, if I can rant on them, might as well do it to the whole world on the internet. So the blog is a place for me to sort of put out there some thoughts I have on topics in the here and now and sort of save them. Because I might go back and write more on them in the future. But it's called the Two Spies Report because, sort of like Future Quake, the only interest there is to address controversial issues and to maybe address topics that aren't opinions that maybe aren't the most popular in the Christian world.
Right.
But I think have some merit because I can tell you in the mainstream Christian media, they're not going to promote the kind of topics that are talked about on the blog, just like not on FutureQuake. So, it does there's something to disturb people. Just when they think they have me figured out, I'll throw something else in there to unnerve them.
What do you think has been your most controversial topic? What have you gotten the most heat for?
I didn't start the blog until the end of August. And so I don't know. I've probably got 9 posts or something like that, 9 or 10. But just about every one of them has sort of shaken people a little bit. I started out with basically my manifesto of the things that are disturbing me about the Christian community today, and I don't have that in front of me right now. People can go read it. And so a lot of it's just a reflection of, I called it the 5 pillars. I just figured that would, get people freaked out a little bit. And so I shared some of these pillars of what my concerns were, and a lot of the topics sort of indirectly relate to that. This last one I did, I've been writing a little bit about the whole Kim Davis fiasco, and so and what's going on behind the scenes with that stuff that the Christian community either doesn't know or chooses not to look into about what's going on as a textbook case of Christian media manipulation. And in that, since it involves the whole conundrum that we have regarding the gay issue in the church, I wrote a little bit on it about some other food for thought that's not normally thought about in our community. And this last post was really predicated because of something that the head of the Southern Baptist Convention wrote, which is where I used to go to church for 4 decades, was Southern Baptist. And he took a hard line, as you would expect, toward not just the fact of homosexual behavior and activity, but just the whole fact about that community in general. And the tone was not toward how can we minister to, how can we advance the kingdom given these realities, how can we be salt and light. It was the normal defensive, circle the wagons posture versus the enemy kind of thing. And so I commented on that. And my issue is not with where people stand as far as the right or wrong of it, but the whole tone and nature of how we address the issue. And one of the things I happened to mention in there, and this is just in the last week or so, was I knew he was a very strong Calvinist. And I have observed, and I guess some of this comes from my reading on the Reformation and other things in recent months, writing on it, that you can tend to get a very strident tone from a group of people who believe that they were picked from before the beginning of the world as elect and looked at everybody else as almost less than human, or at least less than human in God's eyes to be saved.
Right.
And that it sort of breeds this view of everybody else as basically being cannon fodder. And that caused a big stink.
Right. Well, what's interesting is we just had a little talk, and for the 100th episode, we recorded a section with you there, and you mentioned how, recently your faith, you've really been come to a place of compassion and things like that.
Yeah.
Kind of a new place for you. Not necessarily that you were a big old meanie jerkhead before, but just general Christian stuff.
Well, now different people think I'm a meanie jerkhead, so I've just switched to people. I was raised in a classic conservative evangelical culture in the Bible Belt, and I've been blessed to have been raised in a Christian home, great churches, great pastors, a really deep, profound respect for the Bible as our source of guidance to serve God. But studying this one big gulp about the history of first Judaism, then Christianity, and how it's affected what we've done in the last few generations, I've recognized a theme that occurs, a very, very strident, very confrontational theme that comes across as very arrogant from a major portion of the family of God. Those that feel like they're the standard bearers for being the doctrine police.
Right.
And I have been probably in the middle of that. Been, back from the mid-'70s, became a big Bible prophecy buff. And along that, you sort of embrace the Zionism that becomes a part of it, the fear of who is the Antichrist du jour, of whoever America's enemy is at the time, becomes the supposed Antichrist, whether it's Russia or Islam or whatever.
Yep.
And you get this strident foreign policy that, everybody's against us. And everybody's a heretic, and you got to defend this and that and whatever. And when you get into spiritual warfare, that just makes you that much more paranoid. And, all that stuff's real in some way. But ultimately, we're called to minister to the stranger, to the wounded person, to the confused person, and to risk ourselves to be able to bring them into an encounter with a loving God. And having defended doctrine strongly, in fact, going all the way to a United Nations conference I went to basically speak to a whole room full of spirit channelers and tell them that they were playing with fire,
right?
Because of what they were doing. So I've had my creds in defending the faith, but there comes a point when ministering to people and being Christ-like will even take a higher step than absolute doctrinal Pharisaic purity.
Amen, brother.
I don't know if I said that right or not, but I can tell you
good.
when I see somebody in need, my first thought is I better not make sure I do an accidental doctrinal misstep here of what my tradition tells me. My first step that I want is how can I minister to this person and risk all to be able to help them become in wholeness with Christ.
Right. And actually, along those lines, interestingly, today, there was, or a couple days ago, actually, and it trended today, was a scientific study. I don't know if you saw this, Dr. Future, that allegedly had shown that children growing up in religious homes were less altruistic than those of atheistic homes. And, you look through the experiment, and I posted a whole video of why the actual scientific study is flawed in its thinking. And there was actually a statistician and a mathematician who looked at the study and said, this is all garbage, because they're quantifying things like altruism and religiosity and things that can't easily be quantified. And they're putting a number on it, and they're making a chart out of it. And there you go. See, atheists are more altruistic based on this one study of kids and stickers and how they're sharing or not sharing them. And
kids and stickers.
Yeah, and the weird thing to me was the age range was 5 to 12, and I'm thinking, the 5-year-old might be stoked about stickers and may have some things with sharing, but a 12-year-old. I had a 12-year-old just a couple years ago. She was 12, and stickers weren't really cool anymore. Like, I can give her stickers, and she'll be like, okay, whatever. So it's, I don't know if that was the most, the proper methodology. But what I'm getting at is, I looked at some of the comments and the response from both Christians and non-Christians with all the threads on Facebook and everything, and it was it was confirmation bias for the atheists. But then, surprisingly, there were a lot of people who were of the Christian faith. And to be clear, Christians were only 24% of the sample size, which was 1,200 kids. And 47% was Muslim. So, but of course, everything is always Christianized for some reason. But, the response was, oh, it's so true. Christians are so... they're so mean, they're less likely to give and be generous and stuff like that. So that surprised me, even coming from Christians. And so, I think your stance on a lot of these issues that are even more heavy, your approach, I appreciate your approach because it's gentle, who can hurt Dr. Future,
Oh, you ought to read the comments on my blog. A few people that don't really know me that well, hopefully, that just say that I'm Satan reborn. But
oh wow,
the thing is, I sense that the Christians that I'm not in my local church, but I mean in my culture that I'm around, I sense that they don't they don't have any ability to step out of their own shoes and look at themselves as how they're perceived. And what I hear in the Christian right, which is what I had been a part of, is the same policy toward the world in our culture, that the beatings will continue until morale improves.
Yeah.
If we keep it getting more and more strident in what we accuse people in the world in, or whether it's the gay agenda or the Muslim agenda or the whoever atheist agenda or whoever else that's coming trying to get us this week, which basically shows no faith in God to complete His work through His church. Whatever paranoia we hear from the fear mongers, people are shocked. Well, how come we're not having more of an impact in our culture? Why aren't these people responding to our yelling at them and demeaning them? They should be running into the church when they hear this.
Right.
And I'm thinking, if that's how faulty their thinking is, then where are the wise voices in the church these days? I mean, basically, I find them on the internet, on the wild west of the internet, where you get a lot of other crazy stuff too. In fact, a lot of the crazy stuff I had on FutureQuake. But you know what? I'll take the crazy stuff to find a few people that speak sense. And so, that's the concern I have. I am at a point now, I will readily concede, where I will give more grace to the stranger and to the person outside of my spiritual tradition, ethnic tradition, cultural tradition, than I do my own kin, culturally. Okay.
Right.
I give these other people more grace. I want to give them more credit for what integrity they do have, for what faith they have, for what they believe is right, for the things that they say that are true. And I believe I have good grounds on that in Christ. Christ spoke very well, very highly of the faith of the Roman centurion. Of the people, the woman, the Syrophoenician woman, other people outside of culture that he remarked at what they had right in their faith, and obviously the people of his own tradition and the rabbinic, his fellow rabbis, he had the harshest words to say.
Right.
So I get a lot of criticism, and I know I deserve a lot of criticism too, and I'm getting my fair share. I used to get it in the emails of FutureQuake, and now I'm getting it on the blog. And the book will be a whole new level of getting it, so so be it. But I don't apologize for cutting those people more slack and being empathetic to the concerns they have. The way I'm treated by other Christians is like, well, whose team are you on? Whose team are why are you saying they have a point sometimes? Why are you saying that sometimes that maybe they were treated wrongly?
Right.
You're not playing on our team. You're not doing, and that's, to me, that's not the way I want to play ball, serving Christ.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't think Christ expects me to do that.
And a lot of times, and by the way, everybody in the chat there, you're welcome to put up some questions for Dr. Fuchs while he is here. Dr. Fuchs, people are really resonating with what you're saying here. We've got message after message here about just keep on preaching it. So we got the right crowd tonight.
Well, they must not be good haters. They're not going to get they're not going to get anywhere in the religious establishment if they keep that up.
Right. And
maybe the heavenly one, but
and you spoke about, I can't remember now if we're talking about this live stream or the thing we just recorded with you for the 100th episode coming up. Everybody get excited. Talking about what was I just going to say? I can't remember. Well, anyways, the Christian media or just the Christian radio people, Christian TV people, kind of the main Christian, I don't know, I don't even really want to call it an authentic Christian media, but
the institution.
The institution, that's what I'll say. And this whole thing with the danged Starbucks cups. Have you heard about this?
This is such an outrage. I
know. Dr.
I
Future.
think it's the beginning of the end, I think. If that's not the sign that Jesus is coming back next week, I mean, maybe not as important as the blood moon, because we know for sure the blood moon, for sure,
right,
is bringing him right now, or the Shemitah year. But the cup is another big sign.
Right. Well, some of these people are acting as if the cup is the sign, as if the cup is the sign of the end. And if Starbucks isn't putting a snowflake on the cup, then it's complete. That's the end. We're done. The culture has completely thrown out Christianity. And I hate to even talk about it because I've heard so much about it so far.
They're in league with they're in league with Procter and Gamble people that put that moon and stars on the side of Head and Shoulders. Do you remember that? That was the old school one like that. Yeah.
I heard about the Head and Shoulders shampoo conspiracy.
Well, any Dial soap, whatever it is, they put the little logo for Procter and Gamble has some moon and some stars, and it's definitely an occult thing that they worship in black robes behind the scenes at the soap factory.
But I think the whole red cup thing does speak to kind of what you're talking about, which is, we're talking about the wrong stuff. We're reacting to stuff that, should either be ignored or be met with compassion.
Yeah.
There's guys, and again, this will probably upset some people, but there are people sitting in Guantanamo Bay still that have never had a trial, that have never had charges, have never been able to face their accusers, that were picked up in a village. They happen to be in a village merchant. When they clean up the whole village and put them there, and they can't release them because they've already waterboarded them and tortured them, and they have no charges, so they can't release them. Do Christians not find any motivation to go to bat for people who've never had any kind of mercy like that?
Right.
To find out if they're guilty or innocent, or and somebody will say, "Well, somebody somewhere killed one of our soldiers, so I guess we should take innocent people and torture them. That'll serve them right."
Right.
We have refugees who our Christian media is saying, "Don't you trust any of those people? Don't you let any of those people in our country." And at least Netanyahu is standing with America for once, and he's not letting anybody share his material blessings or the $3 billion that we give him in America to share with these Syrian refugees that are homeless. And so, here we are just turning these people away. And Jesus says, when you look in their eyes, you're looking at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, we have no faith that if, heaven forbid, some bad guy was mixed in with those people, with those little children and the mothers and others that are there walking hundreds of miles, if a bad guy comes in, that our act of Christian charity would in no way enable Christ to be able to protect us from bad guys that come in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Christ is just unable to protect us. We need our soldier and a gun to protect us rather than Christ, because we've actually showed Christian charity as a supposed Christian nation of the rest of the world.
Right. What do you say to people who would take what you're saying here and suggest that it can be taken advantage of by, whoever, the elite or whoever, take on that Christian, stance of grace and use it for their sort of agenda of the New World Order or whatever you want to call it? What would you say to that person?
Like what kind of thing would they do good out of being charitable?
What do you mean?
How would the New World Order use people who exercise Christian charity? How would that serve their purposes?
Well, for example, the refugee topic, if we're... Oh, there goes Basil. He's middle of a serious conversation.
Don't worry about me. I'm still here.
I'm sorry I offended you, Basil. Please come back.
I'm out of here.
Well, no, for example, if and I agree with you to the point of we should show grace, we should show hospitality to people who don't have a place to live. That makes sense. But then the other side of the aisle, they're saying, that they're going to use the generous, the gullible, from their perspective, to bring in insurgents or ISIS or whatever the case, the conspiracy or whatever is behind it.
The New World Order will do that.
Right. That they will use the Christians and their generosity to build their sort of establishment. I mean, in my personal view, that's sort of, irrelevant to a sense because it's prophecy eventually being fulfilled to an extent anyway. And I don't think we should compromise our walk and our faith for that. But, just as a response, what would you say to someone that has that response to?
That would be terrible if Christians actually did what Jesus told them to do and to show Christian charity and give the cold cup of water to people. then it might be our own undoing, and the New World Order might get so strong that they'll be stronger than God, and that he will fail in his ability to bring forth his plan for the world. And then God will have us to blame.
I love you, man. I love you so much. I'm so glad we had you on.
That makes 2. See if you can convince Mrs. Future of that. We'll make 3.
Oh, that's good. Hey, Natalina is a great friend of the show, has her own show as well, and she says, I'd be curious if Dr. Future is familiar with Francis Schaeffer's Mark of a Christian. It is my favorite, and Doc Future's sentiments are reminding me of that beautiful message.
Well, thank you for saying that. I'm familiar with Francis Schaeffer. I always loved his little knee breeches, and his little socks pulled up. He, from what I knew of him, I admired much of him. I have been told that some of his work helped establish the religious right and a lot of the theocracy promotion. But I have to say, what I had read of his, I thought was solid, particularly in defending the unborn. No matter how liberal I might get, to me, it's the ultimate liberal value to protect the most vulnerable in society. And in fact, it's the most ideal Christian activity.
Yeah.
I just believe that we should protect all vulnerable people. I think we should protect vulnerable preborn. I think we should protect vulnerable poor people. I think we should protect vulnerable people of other religions that are minorities in our society. Anybody like that who's vulnerable, economically vulnerable people, that's the proper turf for Christians to get involved. If people want to call me liberal or socialist or whatever, I really don't care. Okay? I care what God thinks, and I care what the prophets think. Because one day Amos and Elijah and all these guys who preached till they were blue in the face that God's society was supposed to do those things to make sure that there was economic justice and there weren't dishonest weights and measures, and that there were honest courts that the poor people could get justice. All the stuff that dominate the pages of the books of the prophets, one day I'll look them in the eye. So I really care more what they think than what the religious right people today think anyway. However many of our religious figures make it to heaven, I really don't know and can't say.
You can really tell a man who has no financial dependence on giving the quote correct message. Dr. Future,
you should run for office.
Yeah, I was gonna say you'd lose horribly, but you'd get my vote for sure.
You get the vote of the sympathetic. One of the things that just came to mind, though, as you were talking there, of defending the rights. I just finished editing a documentary called Inhuman for Tom Horn. It's the whole transhumanist topic.
Yeah.
And in it, Dr. James Hughes, who is he's a socialist and a sociologist, he has this notion of defending the rights of not just the poor and the needy and all this, but to animals. And he extends it to the point where he says, if there is an ability to enhance or help them enhance, for example, a monkey, right now a monkey's capacity for communication, at least at our level, and language and stuff is limited.
Yeah.
If we have the capacity to do so, he would say, I'm obligated to do it. Where's the flaw in his thinking, do you think, as far as, obviously, yes, animals should be protected to some regard, but at the same time, the line between enhancement, not just with animals, I'm talking with humans as well, because you're familiar with the transhumanist topic.
Yeah. Is the fear that he's going to make Caesar or something like that?
That would be a fear.
Then they'll chase us and they'll throw ropes and nets over us and stuff. All us after that,
Yeah.
Well, I love animals, and I read a book by one of my favorite theologians. It was called Animals. The guy that wrote Earth's Earliest Ages.
There was a pause. Breeze on the Skype. So if you can pull back like 10 seconds, you were talking about how you love animals.
Let me go back and talk about this book, Animals. It was written by the author of Earth's Earliest Ages, and his name has just escaped me. But he makes the point that of the 4 cherubim before God's throne perpetually, the 3 of them have the faces of animals.
G.H. Pember, that's right.
Yeah, George Pember, that's right. And that, when you think about that man's face and visage is at the same proximity to God's throne as these other animals, that tells you they must be pretty important to God.
Yeah.
And I will just tell you, people will think I'm a quack, but you all know Pyro, my dog that co-hosts Future Quake, still with us. He's 14.
Good old Pyro.
I have not been embarrassed to ask God to give us the privilege of letting him join us in the hereafter. I don't see any problem with that. Our Father gives good gifts to his children. He doesn't give stones. He gives bread. And animals honor God. And Pyro and others like him show many of the positive attributes in God and how they respond to us. And if they give pleasure to God for the whole effort that he took to make them, I don't see why he would not want them to continue to be in our presence.
That's a good point.
And it's interesting because that's another one of those things that I have just heard Christians be so adamant on, that no, animals don't have souls and they don't go to heaven. I remember being a young kid and some older lady at the church was very adamant on telling me that my little kitty won't come to heaven with me.
Yeah, they work really hard to see how narrow they can focus down the people that get to enjoy God's presence. That's a very big priority for them, to see how small it can get just around them and their close friends.
Right.
And I don't perceive God anymore as somebody who's looking for excuses to damn people.
Yeah.
Whether they be animals or humans or whoever. Jesus, he put out in the Sermon on the Mount the prescription for an eternal society. All he did, if you really look at it, it's just the stuff that has to happen within a society that intends to remain eternally. If there's any selfishness of any way, shape, or form, it will destroy and corrupt a society. And with all the wonderful goodness that God put into this world, it's taken not that many generations for the powers that be, Babylon, New World Order types, to run this place into the ground. And Jesus is building one that he wants to last forever. Right. So, as I understand it, anyone who's willing to play by those rules and is willing to live a lifestyle in the kingdom to come that is consistent with what's required for eternal society is more than welcome to join us. Now, I know many Calvinists would not believe that because they believe only a handful of the people who won the prenatal lottery get to be there. Right. And I don't believe that. I believe God is not willing that any should perish. So God is one who wants to restore, and he's committed us to a ministry of reconciliation, the Bible says.
Amen.
So, you see St. Francis, he had animals and everything else piled up on the communion table. He was blessing and interacting with them, giving them blessings just like he was human beings. My favorite book chapter in the Bible is Psalm 84. It's a pilgrim psalm, and it was said supposedly or sung by people that made the arduous journey every year to get through the desert to make it to the temple. And it really is a metaphor for the Christian walk, or the walk of a believer in God. And it mentions about how wonderful his courts are, the temple. And it says on his altar, which is this very sacred place that most of us would never be able to approach, it says he allows the bird to come build its nest on his sacred altar and raise its young on it.
Wow. Where is that again? That's
Psalm
beautiful.
It's Psalm 84.
Wow, Psalm 84. I got to write that one down.
His sacred and holy altar, the bird has a place there to build its nest and raise her young.
Wow.
And that's the kind of God I worship. It's a God that when Abraham, Sarah, everybody else gave up on this little Egyptian handmaiden slave, Hagar, and her little mixed race baby, and they threw him out in the desert to die, and I believe it was Jesus that actually went out there and found her when she thought they were going to die out in the desert and just die of thirst. He went out there and said, I will take care of you and your baby. And Hagar's response was, I have seen God face to face.
Right.
That's the kind of God that I worship and now I see in the pages of the Bible.
Amen. And actually, my word of encouragement over the weekend was Mark 16:15, and it's basically right before Jesus ascends to heaven in Mark after his resurrection, and he says, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation." And even in the video, I made the point that not that it's you're not preaching to the animal necessarily, but at the same time, there's this sense of all of creation, is waiting eagerly for the revealing of the sons of God. So that includes animals,
That's right.
The question is, does it include aliens? That's the real question.
Well, I guess I'll say it this way. By my earlier premise, if they're willing to live by the principles of the Sermon on the Mount, then I can't see why they would be more than welcome to join us.
Starting to sound like those Catholic bishops at the astrotheology conferences about baptizing aliens.
Oh yeah, now they'll have exposés on me.
Now you're real liberal.
Now you're.
The
next book on the Vatican will include Dr. Future's revelations on alien baptism.
Well, when you get strangers like aliens show up, it's okay to check for ID. And check who you're dealing with, but you don't have to be nasty with them right off the bat.
Right.
If they're devils, we'll find out pretty quick whether they're devils or not. We've got devils that are Christian leaders in our media that are more damaging than an alien if they showed up, and we got tares all through our church that we're told not to pull up. So we got bigger problems than aliens right now. The aliens would have to get in line. In terms of trying to wreak havoc on the church right now.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Doc Fuchs, I really appreciate you coming on, and we're already quite far into the live stream, and you haven't fallen asleep on us yet. You're welcome to.
It's only 1:39 a.m. locally.
So I don't want to keep you too far past your bedtime. But real quick, why don't you just give the people a little update on what you're doing? I know we spoke about it a little bit on the episode, but just to let them know how you're doing, and then if you're looking for it, you're welcome to head off to your bedtime.
Oh well, that's that. Thank you, I appreciate that. I will need to ask you when I conclude here about 30 seconds. I need to run off camera and get something before our conclusion. And I'll need you all to have some witty repartee. So just be prepared because I want to come right back for it. Anyway, for those of you who have been following me along, I have been sort of undercover writing a very long multi-book volume series called The Holy War Chronicles, A Spiritual View of the War on Terror. And it tries to address what I think is the issue of our age and our culture, and particularly people of faith. And that is... what is the proper Christ-like approach to dealing with what we are told is an existential crisis in the West with the threat of Muslim extremism and the war on terror? It's the latest threat after post-Cold War. After that, we had that threat that put us on red alert. And it goes back to first principles. And each volume covers a different facet of it. The first volume, I call it... what the Middle East thinks about the West, and it covers the last 100 years of our involvement in the Middle East, and why they perceive us the way they do. It gets into some of the early establishment of the Muslim Brotherhood by British intelligence, why radical Islam has been such an effective tool of the West, of imperialism, even how Israel admits that they founded Hamas for the same purposes. The U.S.'s undergirding of the House of Saud and Wahhabism, how we've trained the Taliban in bomb making, and brought them over to the University of Nebraska, wrote some of the worst anti-Christian, anti-West literature for their madrasas that was published by the U.S. government, why this stuff happened, why we're told something different. Second volume gets into why we think about the Middle East, what we do in the West, and it really gets into the message that the media has given us for the last 100 years about the Middle East. Who are the people that control it? I have some surprises to show on the tight bottleneck of people who actually go through and translate and streamline everything that comes from the Middle East and their connections to a foreign country's intelligence agency. I get into things like terror that's been done domestically in our own country by groups like not only the Jewish Defense League and others, but by our own FBI, what their role was in founding the Black Panthers. A particular mission, the FBI was exposed in court of having to create a mega terror attack at the 1972 Republican Convention and actually blame it on the Vietnam veterans against the war. So cover a lot of topics in that. The third and fourth volumes pertain to a history of holy wars, so we understand how this mindset developed. And the third volume goes into the history of Judaism, and in fact how it affects even modern Israel today and how Christians relate to it. The fourth volume, which I'm just finishing, gets into the history of Christendom and holy wars. The fifth volume gets into who are the players today and what are some of the hidden motives of the people, both in the religious right, Christian media, and conservative movement that are pushing the anti-Sharia movement, and who are the people that are funding them that they're not telling us, what their agenda is that they're not sharing with us, the mixed motives that are there, why the people who are funding them are keeping their identity secret. And the last volume is one that shows positive examples. What are positive role models we can look at? And one of your listeners there mentioned Francis Schaeffer. Another gentleman that I hold in similar regard is Reverend Richard Wurmbrand, who wrote Tortured for Christ. I talk a good bit about the exhortations he gives in his book, Jesus, Friend of Terrorist. And he gives a view. We did a whole show on it on Future Quake. I highly recommend everybody listen.
Yeah, it's really good.
And it even shocked the representative on their ministry who was not familiar with the book, some of Reverend Wurmbrand's assertions. But just other things like that people are doing to do a more Christ-like response to the challenges, the cultural juggernaut and combative issue we have right now. So that's it basically in a nutshell. There's even a spin-off book that I've written called The Hidden Hand Against the God-Fearers. And when I show in the sixth volume how a handful of people with turbans in caves, or even the approximately 1% of the public who are Muslims today in America, when I show for all practical measures how we can sleep easy, that they're not going to overthrow America with Sharia law in the next year or two, the question does arise, who are the people we need to be worried about? And who are the folks that really do control our world without our noticing it, and have even propped up the Muslim menace as a prop for us to focus on rather than the people with real power in the world? And that's the focus of The Hidden Hand Against the God-Fearers. I've already written that as well too. And what you'll find is that the people that pose the greatest danger to us are people who wear suits, look just like us, and sometimes even sit in our churches. Yeah. And they're the ones who really control the environment we have without our even being aware of it.
There you go. There you go. Ooh. So somebody here says Lancaster Films 9. So when do these books drop? I totally want to read them.
Well, hey, thanks. Thanks for the encouragement. I'm writing as fast as I can. These people, they call me, want to be on shows in the middle of the night, and that sort of gets me out of sync with things. No, seriously, it's taken a tremendous amount of effort for me to do all of the book reviews, all of the other background data, because I have to try to make sure I have absolutely impeccable references. In just about everything I use, it's either court testimony, congressional record documents, or major newspapers of record.
There you go.
And so I'm trying to raise the standard that people can follow the entire paper trail. In fact, if they have an electronic version, hopefully all the hot links I have in there. Every time I can find something online to verify it, I try to make sure I put, the URLs and everything in there so people can double check my assertions and references and things like that. So
no release date set.
Well,
yet.
here's my based upon my experience so far. I'm going to try to have this last volume done by the end of this next year, which is just over a year from now. I'm hopefully volume 5 is going to go quicker because I've only got about 2 shelves worth of books to read for it, unlike the other volumes. So hopefully it'll be a little bit quicker, and then I just sort of clean them up. And I think what I'm going to do is try to release them in either 2 to 3 month intervals, and that'll give me plenty of time to come on your show and other people's and talk about one of the, each one of the volumes is 400 to 500 pages. The history ones are over 700 pages right now. So there's a lot of material to talk about in them. So it could be multiple shows if you're interested.
And then in the meantime, your Two Spies Report blog?
twospiesreport.wordpress.com. Again, it's like Future Quake, something there to offend everybody. So it's only controversial views and topics. So you can find the people that come there that aren't sort of used to that, that aren't used to the Future Quake-ish Canary crack kind of thing. And they'll go on there and rail and, go after defending the status quo and everything. And so, but if you just want to have a different view, I'll tell you another clue, and this will just tell you how dangerous and liberal I am. One of the sources I use to sort of get a pulse of what's going on in the religious right media is I go to Right Wing Watch. And, it's People for the American Way run it. They're a liberal group. They're no fans of evangelical community, but their collection of data, of quotations, video reports directly hot off the press, it will change your view of how we are perceived in the rest of the world. Yeah. You will suddenly become much more understanding why newer generations of young people are just not that interested in hooking up with the religious establishment. And when you see this, we don't really focus on it, those of us who are the church-going type and are in the middle of that culture, and we think everybody's out to get us and we're just being persecuted. But when you go and hear the nasty kind of stuff like this fella Kevin Swanson the other day, one of the major religious guys, talking about how God was kind to gays by sending them AIDS.
Oof.
And, that's one of the nicer things that's said on there. It gets a lot worse than that. And there are people who are just praised in the major Christian media on these people, and they say things that if you step away from it and think, what if they were talking about you, you would cringe.
Yeah.
And it's made me much more empathetic. And actually what it's also done is it's made me want to distance myself from a culture that thinks that stuff's okay. Because, they have the National Religious Broadcasters meeting right here in Nashville, all the top guys. In fact, they have CIA guys come in, like the last time I was there outside protesting, come in and tell the religious broadcasters all the stuff they're supposed to tell their Christian listeners. And that's sort of the way the show goes. That's the way it's run. And I myself feel an obligation to tell people that I reject that. Yeah. And for the sake of my witness and the witness of the gospel, I want to distance myself from that because I'm afraid it's disappearing. In fact, one of the books I have planned to write not too long after this, I want to write on American exceptionalism, or what I call Amerolatry. And then after that, write about the fall of the of what's been near and dear to me, which is the evangelical Christian establishment. And I plan to write it in the format of a Southern Gothic novel called An Evangelical Gothic, an epitaph for the evangelical culture. And what I see, and I don't get any jollies off of this, but I'm afraid it's really a lamentation of a society and a culture that has squandered its opportunity and has missed the mark and left the path. And they have been running on basically past accomplishments, and they don't realize how irrelevant they are even right now. And I don't believe that about the gospel. Gospel is more relevant than it's ever been. The message of Jesus Christ is more relevant than ever. Active Christian believers that are serving the kingdom. But I'm afraid that stands a stark contrast from what we hear from the most vocal people in Christian media. And thank goodness you all are out here on the internet, and that more young people are coming here and listening to different voices. And that's what gives me encouragement.
Well, we're glad we can trade encouragements with you, because that was wonderful. Now, we've had you for about 55 minutes now.
Really?
How are you feeling?
Oh, well, I'm in a catatonic state. I've bored myself to death.
Well, certainly not us, and certainly not our listeners here. But I don't want to keep you chained here longer than you need.
Okay.
But
all right.
Do you still need your 30 seconds here?
Yes, I need my 30 seconds. If you
Okay.
want to, y'all just tell you
Well-
what, you all can just talk about how great I am for 30 seconds.
Okay.
And I know you need much longer than that, but just do that, and I'll be right back in 2 seconds. Okay.
Okay,
And
sounds good.
Don't cut the video on me.
All right,
We won't.
Okay.
All right, so we hope you guys are enjoying this time that we have with Doc Future. Like we said, we had him on the line, and then it was time for a live stream, so we just brought him right on, and here he is. He's been very nice to us, keeping us, staying with us here. Again, if you have any questions at this point, any very short questions, because he's way past his bedtime. But how you doing over there, Gonz?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
It's making me think. As always, Dr. Future making me think.
Lots of thinking here.
He's good with that. He
Yeah.
makes me go back and want to just throw everything out the window and start over.
Classic Doc Future.
Yeah, definitely check out his blog. Check out his... Ooh.
Sorry.
Now I feel left out.
Now I'm properly dressed.
Oh.
I forgot this is a requirement for Christian radio.
There we go. Yeah. Now all those people who complain about my mask, we can stand in solidarity. Now Gonz is the weird one.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't belong. He's not one of us. He probably should be put in some gulag somewhere.
Yeah.
He's not one of our kind.
We
It's
should
like
have
it's like a Twilight Zone episode where the strange person was the real good-looking one.
Oh,
this is
gosh.
Gonz's worst nightmare.
This is-
He's been trying to get me to take off this mask every single live episode.
I have. So
Well, evidently,
apparently
this is the wave of the future.
we found the two spies, apparently.
Next thing you're going to see Franklin Graham wearing one.
Oh, gosh.
Somebody suggests your wrestling name is El Futura.
Yeah, that's sweet, man. I love that.
All
right.
We should have on the next live stream. Doc Future and I will be wrestling, and
We'll
it's gonna
wrestle
be
the vampire women.
Well, we could place
Or the
bets.
Satan's cavemen. How about that?
There we go.
We'll have a Kickstarter campaign where people can place their
Yeah,
bets
we'll
on.
start another Kickstarter.
Yeah. Come on, Nephilim. We're ready for you now.
We're our own mighty men.
That's right.
Oh man.
Or Gaborum.
This just made this live stream like probably one of the most legendary live streams that's ever gone over the.
I would say this is one of the classic Canary Cry moments. Beyond any episode out of the 99 plus that we've done, Dr. Future has topped it all. I gotta say, and I feel totally left out now.
I guess
I
I'll
don't
have to
have
start
anything.
wearing this at the conferences then.
That's why they didn't take you seriously at the last
Yeah, I'd be
radio
careful.
broadcasters.
I tried wearing costumes at the conferences, and they did not like that very much.
No.
Really?
So it'll be you and me together.
I'll get one to Tom Horn, see if he'll put it on.
If we could get Tom Warren to put on a mask, I will put up a cash prize for that.
Yeah. And Sharon Gilbert. She's another one you need to send one to.
Well,
Get the whole crew together.
That's
This has been great. I'm so happy. If it were up to me, we would just go on for hours. But I don't want you to feel the like we sabotaged your whole publication.
Mrs. Future thinks I've lost my mind in the next room. She's trying to get some sleep. Even Pyro ran away in fear.
I wonder why she thinks that.
I don't know. I'm showing my true face.
Yeah, you got some nice decor on that mask
Some
too.
flame around the eyes.
Yeah, yours is a little bit even more intimidating than mine.
I feel like I belong in the back of a chick track. Like I pulled my human face off and I was the demon dragging somebody to hell or something.
Do you want this to happen to you? Accept Christ now. Somebody is asking what the next conference is that you'll be speaking at. Do you have anything scheduled?
I have been dropped from so many of them recently. You know, the last one I was at, the main conference organizers walked out in the middle of my talk.
Really?
They all got up and
really?
Yeah, I had a big, enormous room. I won't mention the conference, but some of your listeners may have been there actually. But it was one of the big ones, and they went and left. And surprisingly, I didn't get invited back.
Wow, that sounds like something that would happen to me.
But a lot of the people, even the older people, the ones that were sort of shaking their heads when I was talking and showing my data, they came up later and they said, "We're so glad you showed this. It makes us feel terrible, but it's better to know." And so we just had a little prayer session there up front. So I care much more about them than any conference organizers.
Right.
Yeah, amen.
Well, amen there.
Those conference organizers,
that's how I
you better
felt
watch out for them.
Ohio.
Those conference organizers are...
If there's a movement toward the luchador Bible prophecy crowd, I think we've got something there.
I think this is the beginning to a wonderful ministry.
I do. I think so. Yeah. Peace through wrestling.
There you go.
Guys, it's been great being on here. This is the first time I've brought this thing out of the mothball. So
well, there you go. I'm glad we could do it.
Pretty good excuse for it, yeah.
Yeah, this is what it was for. This was the destiny that the Lord laid out for both of our masks. That's how mine was before we started doing these live streams. So.
Yeah. Well, come on, Gonz. Get with the program.
All right, Doc Future. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll let you get to your bedtime. You should try sleeping in the mask. It's actually very soothing.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, Mrs. Future would probably appreciate that, too. be less terrifying for her than the real one. Well, all of you Canarians out there, I hope you enjoyed this. And you got some special guys hosting the show. Give them lots of love because it's a lot of hard work doing a show.
Amen.
And
you got a lot of love coming here in the message boards, and everybody make sure to go check out Two Spies, twospies.com, .wordpress.com.
twospiesreport.wordpress.com.
twospiesreport.wordpress.com. Go.
Yeah. And drop a comment saying, "Hey, he's not as evil as the rest of you all say." I would sure appreciate that.
And then the screenshot of this
picture of this.
Oh, my little avatar actually has me with Tom Servo and Crow from MST3K. I actually got on the Satellite of Love.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting experience, but that's for another day.
Okay, well we'll do that one on the next Canary Cry episode with Doc Future.
All right. Well, hey guys, thanks for having me and keep me up to the middle of the night.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot for staying up. Have a good night.
Hey, grace for peace.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, well, there you have it, folks. That was El Futura, El Doctor del Futura, who joined the mask train. That was really legendary.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna resize some stuff here. Not that it makes a huge difference, but see if I can get you to be less small.
Okay, sounds good. Wow, I don't even know how we top that.
I don't think we do.
What do we even do now?
I don't know.
I mean, it's getting kind of late. Maybe we can let's hit your UFO sighting.
Oh yeah.
And I think we can call it a night probably after that. There you go. All right, everybody. The message boards are open. So if you have any questions
it's a chat. It's not
whatever.
A message board, but
just click your mouse and
click your mouse.
Click your mouse. Okay, so let's talk about, as many of you already know, the UFO sighting. When I say UFO, we're using the technical term. We don't know if it was a spacecraft, but it was unidentified and it was flying, and it theoretically was an object in the most existential sense. It was seen in California, in Nevada. It was seen in where? Utah? All these different places.
Yeah.
Colorado.
Right. So Saturday evening, I'm getting ready to run to the grocery store to get some food for the family. And I get a text message from a few people saying, I think I just saw a UFO, and they're kind of freaking out. And they're giving me this whole description. I'm going, oh, okay, yeah, UFO, it's probably swamp gas, that whole thing.
Right.
And I walk outside, and literally right outside of my apartment here, these people are in the street, and they're freaking out. They're, oh my gosh, you gotta see. And I walk over there. What'd you guys see? This huge stream, and then it blew up. And one guy was really inebriated, so it made it very animated discussion. But I ran back inside and grabbed my camera, and just because it was a blue cloud was left in the sky where I can see, and I can see a trail of a light. It was like a vertical light with a little bulb kind of thing at the top. It was really faint. The video really didn't pick it up, but you can kind of see it in the sky. And then, of course, a church friend of mine, Bill, who lives on the ocean pretty much. He's doing better than us, Basil.
Yeah.
Living oceanfront. He's an older gentleman, but he calls me and he's like, you wouldn't believe the thing I just saw is crazy, this and that. And he caught it on video, and then I jump on the social media and everybody's talking about it. It's, everyone's freaking out. Everyone, oh my gosh, what was it? Blah, 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 blah. And then reports came out that it was a missile, a Navy missile launch, a Trident II test. And that was the story. And,
right.
We're looking at it. I'm looking at it going, maybe. I mean,
there are so many questions.
Right. And I lean towards the military story, like in terms of whether it's officially that or not, because they said it was a test. I'm going, okay, yeah, maybe it was terrestrial. I don't think it was like an extraterrestrial craft or a supernatural thing or anything like that. I do think it was a missile of some kind. But the questions that come up, why are they launching it? Why are they launching it on Saturday evening, 6:00? Everybody's out. Everybody's, out and about that on Saturday night. LAX shutting down their airports, or not shutting it down, but changing their routes over the Pacific Ocean. So why are they doing that? Just a lot of questions. And so that's
that's the thing too, is because LAX had rerouted their flights weeks in advance. I mean, it's obviously not a UFO, mostly just because UFOs it doesn't fit the description of a spacecraft of some kind.
Well, that's the thing. We got to clarify what we mean by UFO, right?
So when we say UFO, we mean unidentified flying object in the very strict definition. But so they reroute all flights for 2 weeks before it happens, and they do it right there, right as it's getting dark, so everybody can see the lights. They do it on a Saturday night while everybody's out and about, and they don't tell people beforehand. I mean, it seems like when something's going to be this extreme, they should say, hey, everybody, you're going to see a crazy thing in the sky, like put it on the news. Go outside, look at this amazing light show that's going to happen. They're just testing a missile. Nobody panic.
Right.
But what that leads me to believe is that they weren't planning on it, that it just happened. But maybe they just have bad PR people, and they need to hire me to do their PR.
Their marketing.
Right.
Well, there were some stories that came out, and I'm trying to get a little video. Actually, my video, at least in the visuals, so that it's there.
Well, there's lots of videos you could pull
Yeah.
up.
I'm just playing one of them, so at least there's something for people to look at in the background.
Yeah.
But there was a story that came out that there was something about anthrax. I'm trying to find it real quick here.
The anthrax being released over LA.
Right. That it's a test to drop anthrax. Someone knows of the article in the chat room, the chat box. You guys can drop it there. But let me see here. Let me try to find it. Here we go. It was reported on libertynews.com. Breaking exclusive: Feds preparing for anthrax attack from sky. Exposes truth behind government drills at LAX.
Yeah.
And the people who wrote the article claim that they were given insider or whatever. They're not going to reveal who they got it from, but they say the document is legit. And they're saying the DHS and the Pentagon have not yet said what the purpose of the missile test was. But using common sense and basic logic, we can make some assumptions here. A test of a missile designed to hit targets overseas could have and likely would have taken place somewhere else. There's no logical reason to conduct such a test in the waters near LA. So the test was most likely in place to prepare a hit, an incoming target of some kind. Yeah. So that's the other part of it too that I want to just put out there is that we don't know if, maybe they are protecting us. You know what I mean? And we just don't know it. So
right.
I don't want to rule that out. But
it could be a secret war going on or something, and then those are all things that are totally possible. I mean, on the issue of it being a missile test, also, I had a very close person to me who's a rocket scientist. I was talking to him about the Norway spirals.
Yeah.
Which was that, and he was saying, "Oh no, that was just a missile test," and I'm like, "Really? It didn't look like a missile. It looked like a crazy spiral thing." It's like, no, it's just a missile test. That's what missiles look like when you shoot them. Like
the spiral and the thing, the portal opening up,
and the portal and the blue, and I respect the person, and generally, I'll take his opinion with the degree that I'm supposed to.
Right.
But
that's the weird thing.
He could have been told something and had an explanation given to him, and he's just doing off that. He was not involved in the missile test. I'll give you that much.
Right. Well, that's the thing about this one is that it had, in Basil, you can kind of watch the screen here. I'm going to show you. But it's red, it's flaring, and then it turns blue. It like expands and turns blue, and it has that bluish trail. It's not a spiral like it was at the Norway spiral,
right?
But it definitely has a blue trail. And I actually slowed down one of the footages here to show you. You'll probably get it in a few seconds of what I'm talking about. But
right.
But it was bizarre. And I guess it lit up the whole sky, and that's why everybody was freaking out. Like, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like it. And
well, that's the thing too, is the tail of the thing. I mean, it's so huge.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a rocket scientist, but it doesn't look like what you would think a missile would do. It looks like either it is shooting off some sort of thing, or it's attempting to spread some sort of thing. I don't know. It's I can't speak with too much authority on it, but
why not?
It
Come on, just give us some assumptions.
Yeah, I mean it probably was a missile test, but it is highly suspect, and if it is, they are not handling it right.
Yeah, and there's actually a footage from Japan from like 2011, I think, very similar in nature of what it was. It was kind of later at night or right about sunset. And you can see the trail, and it's kind of the same color. It's the only video I found that's even close to what this looks like, other than the one shuttle launch in Florida a month ago, and everybody freaked out and said, "Oh my gosh, this UFO!" And then they said, "Oh, it's just a shuttle launch," and it's kind of similar. It's got that sort of spray thing. What's funny though? In the comments section, every 20 comments or something, somebody will just say, "Hey, don't worry about it. It's just Goku."
That's funny,
because it kind of does look like
it does quite. Yeah, it looks like a Dragon Ball
looks
Z
pretty
thing.
Super Saiyan.
Yeah. So we've got some things going on here. The blue tail stayed in the sky for a long time after
that's
its life
what I saw. I
disappeared.
saw the cloud. It was a big cloud of blue. It was. I mean, here, let me try to find it here on my video.
Another person said, "I can't wait for the explanation when the bottomless pit is opened." That's a good point.
Yeah, so that's my video. Terrible video thing here. But that little area there was the blue cloud. And I mean, obviously, again, it's terrible video. I'm sorry. I'm just not a good videographer, especially with my super high-tech camera. But I had to enhance the contrast to see
right. But it is interesting.
Yeah, no, it was definitely like, oh, that's definitely there. I definitely see it.
Yeah.
So that happened. And a lot of people are kind of freaking out about it. But I don't know.
So Al Thomas asks if I know Mike Ross. I am not a personal friend of Mike Ross. Do you know Mike Ross, Gonz?
I don't know of a Mike Ross.
Neither do I. Who's Mike Ross? Al Thomas.
I think they're trying to figure out who you really are.
Oh.
And so if you know Mike Ross, then
they'll ask Mike Ross who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know Mike Ross. Me and Mike Ross are good friends.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So anyway.
So yeah, there you go. I mean, I don't know. You got anything else on this, baby? If we learn anything, we'll keep you guys posted. And if you guys learn anything, let us know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, tons of people saw it. And the thing that's weird to me was that it was seen in Nevada, in Idaho. We got people from New Mexico saying they saw it. And so it was either so high up in the air in the atmosphere that, you know, it was seen for over 1,000 miles, or it's multiple rockets being shot, you know, from different locations.
Right.
And, you know, that sort of thing. So,
yeah. So there you go.
There you go. That's all I have to say about that.
All right. If there's any other things to talk about, now is the time.
How long have we've been on? Hour and 11 minutes.
Hour and 17 minutes. I'm getting a little sleepy here.
Why is your timer always 6 minutes ahead of mine?
I don't know. It is always 6 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Anyway, no noise. No noise. UFO did not make any noise, which was another weird thing.
Yeah, although it might have been 1,000 miles away.
Christian KKK were found around Portland today. Yeah.
Well, the KKKs are generally consider themselves a Christian organization.
Right. Anyone
The mask alters time. It does. I think it does.
Actually, on the topic of time travel,
can we repeat Dr. Future's website? It's the2spiesreport.wordpress.com.
I'm just pumping it back onto the screen. Oh, I totally messed that up. Hold on.
That was somebody asked for Dr. Future's website. That is Dr. Future's website. Everybody go there. Everybody leave a nice message on his thing to combat all the meanies, the meanie heads.
How come it's not working? Oh, no, because it's Two Spies Report.
Yeah, what'd you do?
There we go. I put the Two Spies. It's Two Spies Report.
Two Spies Report, not the Two Spies Report.
But it's called the Two. Yeah, this is confusing.
Okay, it's confusing. Oh, no.
Yeah, I'll drop it in the chat for people.
Drop a link. Drop that link.
And then you can go to futurequake.com to get all the archives of the 300 episodes.
Yeah,
so Future many. Quake.
So many episodes. Issa, you're way late.
You're super late.
You're super late. It's okay. When this is finished, it'll get posted again, and you can watch it and pretend that it's live.
So there's something I know about Issa, and she's actually in Paradise. And I was wondering what the because we, you know, where I am is called Pacific Standard Time, and where she is even more Pacific, but I don't know what they call it. Do you know what they call it, Basil?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
There should be
all right.
What we'll be doing now that you're done with Inhuman.
We're hitting Canary Cry super hard.
Yeah. We're gonna pump some Canary Cry.
We're really
nonsense.
working on doing our Canary Cry stuff.
Right. So, but I am planning to do like a mini documentary based on I made a video last week just asking what people want to see a video on. So I'm kind of getting different ideas of what people are looking for, and then trying to jive on what I want to talk about. Be in prayer about it, all that stuff.
And one of these days you'll publish a book.
One of these days a book will be published.
Yeah.
The other part of it, though, is Tom Horn does have like another project sitting there for me, and actually he's got like 2 or 3. So I'm
Hook it up,
planning
dude.
yeah, we'll see. Mr. Can't Show My Face. Let's see. Oh, so it's Hawaii Standard Time.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. They get their own time standard. That's messed up.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's about all we got. Gonz?
You just ignore everybody?
Do another Age of Deceit, Gonz. Don't do Starbucks. He's looking forward to the next video. Good work.
Okay.
No, it's tired. It's tired. It's like...
It's tired?
It's tired.
Your mask is tired?
It is tired.
Your mask controls you, kind of like...
It is tired.
Kind of like the movie The Mask. Remember that mask with Jim Carrey?
Yeah, that's the most terrifying movie I ever saw.
And then the dog gets the mask and he gets all crazy.
So scary. All right.
Okay.
Anything else? Are you wanting to do this? Are we cruising? Are we cruising until the sun comes up?
We should just keep going until... see, Natalina just came back for the end. So.
Natalina. Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Thanks for coming in and being a part of this legendary Canary Cry live stream. Truly, truly.
Oh yeah, Issa and Natalina missed the greatest Canary Cry moment. Probably top 3 for sure. Top 3 Canary Cry moment for sure.
I thought Natalina was here.
No, she left.
Okay.
She does that.
Yeah, she does. All right. So there you go. We hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to check out the podcast, obviously. Drop us a line on Facebook. Go to canarycry.com. Do all those fun things. The USB archive project is still going. We're working on episode 100 right now. So you're running out of time to sign up for that. So you can go to canarycryradio.com.
Oh, she did see it.
Go.
She had it on in the background. Sorry, go ahead.
Gonz, we're live, man.
Yeah. So it's the end. Who cares?
And so you can go to the support tab on canarycryradio.com, and there you can sign up for the USB archive project. So Canary Cry Radio can live on when the internet goes down or the apocalypse happens or the zombies start baristaing at Starbucks. There you go. All right, everybody. We had a lot of fun.
Oh
my gosh.
Go to, see our website here. This is our website at the top here. On the right here, you see this thing where it says send voicemail.
Yeah. Okay, everybody.
Yeah.
Right now, everybody who's here, everybody, we're going to post a link to Canary Cry Radio. Go to there. Go to the right-hand side where it says send voicemail and click on it. Follow the instructions and leave a voicemail. And we need you guys to leave us voicemails of you saying, think outside the cage. Think outside the cage. You've heard it hundreds of times or almost 100. And if you go leave a voicemail, say, think outside the cage, go do it right now.
Daniel already did it. Daniel's already on top of it.
Already on top of it.
Yep.
Go right now. I'm going to stay right here until everybody here does this.
Oh, gosh.
You only
We
get
just
like
extended our live stream for another.
You only get like a minute to do it. So just record, think outside the cage in any way that you want, and you'll probably hear it on the next episode.
We actually got one in Japanese too, so you can do different languages if you're super skilled.
Do other languages.
Oh, you can sing it. Yes.
You can say your name. You can not say your name. You can leave another little message of love or hate. You maybe even tell us how long you've been listening to the show. Maybe tell us what your favorite episode is. Maybe tell us who you want to have back on the thing. Tell us where you are. Where in the world are you?
What are you doing to us?
Go do all that, but make sure to say, think outside the cage, because that's what we're all about here. You guys know that. That's what you guys do. And there you go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody's going. Everybody's doing it.
I can't read. Cherub Vash-ish wrote it in some language that I am not familiar with.
Well, if he goes and records it, we're going to hear it because he's doing it right now. I better get a ton of emails in the Canary Cry Radio email tonight and listen to all your wonderful voices saying, think outside the cage. I'll wait. I'll even give you a little music. You can even say that you were, Tagalog. Somebody should say it in Tagalog. You can even say that you were listening to this live stream, and that's why you're doing this. All sorts of things.
I do have a little button planned here to play our version of the Future Quake song. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
So after we wrap it up, it will play that song, our recorded version of, what's the name of the song?
Future Quake song.
The Future Quake song. That's not what it's called, but people will get it.
Yeah.
It'll be nostalgic to those who know Future Quake.
All right. There you go. Okay. There you go. Last chance. Go give us your email, or email us if you want, but go to the canarycryradio.com website, click on the leave a voicemail, record Think Outside the Cage, and while you're doing that, you can listen to our recording of the Future Quake theme song. Thank you very much. And remember to think outside the cage.
Is that how we're ending it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, here we go. Music cued.
There's a new sun rising up angry in the sky. There's a new voice saying we're not afraid to die. Let the whole world make believe it's blind and deaf and dumb, but nothing can change the shape of things to come. There are changes lying ahead in every road, and there are new thoughts ready and waiting to explode. When tomorrow is today, the bells may toll for some, but nothing can change the shape of things to come. The future's coming in now, sweet and strong. Ain't no one gonna hold it back for long.
There are new dreams crowding out old realities. There's revolution sweeping in like a fresh new breeze. Let the old world make believe it's blind and deaf and dumb,
But nothing can change the shape of